Hey, it's former Texas Governor Rick Perry, everybody.
Howdy-ho, cowboy. How's your hang down hanging, huh?
So what's the occasion?
As part of my civic duties, I need to share with your audience some health tips from my brain that I've come up with by reading stories in the news.
Health tips? Rick, aren't you the Secretary of Energy?
No, Jimmy, I always get to be called governor, even though I'm now head of an important department in our government, which is way too large, by the way.
But aren't you Secretary of Energy?
Health tip number 1, keep cotton swabs out of your children's ears. Thousands of kids wind up in emergency rooms every year for ear injuries caused by putting those little cotton sticks in their ear holes.
Why are you giving out health tips when you're Secretary of Energy?
Well, I'm also Secretary of Health if I want. That's what they told me. I'm Health Master General or something like that. I've got my own office downstairs in the government building.
The government building?
Yes. My office is right next to where everybody puts their cars. I get a lot of inquiries about validation. People want my validation, so I give them health tips and whatnot. Then I stamp their cars, and they can drive away.
Well, that's not nice. It sounds like they put you in charge of a parking garage.
My father's dead.
What's that? Oh, my, I'm sorry, Rick. My condolences. How old was he?
160 years old. People live long lives in West Texas. You grow up on sunshine, stink bugs, and sagebrush thistles. Oh, and the benefits of 200 years of indentured servitude from tenant farmers.
That sounds an awful lot like slavery, Rick.
He was part of the greatest generation, Jimmy Dore. Would you call the greatest generation racist?
Never mind. What'd he do in World War II?
He was a tail gunner in one of those big bombers.
What's a tail gunner?
That's where you sit in a big plexiglass bubble in the tail of the plane and shoot things. You know what?
What?
Sometimes I feel like I'm in that bubble, looking down at the world and all its problems, helpless to do anything. Endless miles of ocean underneath me. I see my pals and the other bombers to the left, to the right, above and below me. But we're still so far apart.
Wow. How did he die?
An armadillo snatched onto his face and wouldn't let go. It was the worst 3 weeks of his life. We eat him raw in Paint Creek. His mistake was not first stunning the dilla with a rock before taking a bite from his tender underbelly. If you're ever in Paint Creek, stop by the home place and they'll show you what I'm talking about. Once you sink your teeth into that little pink belly, you never go back. It's like cotton candy, but with dangerous bacteria. But you got to bong them in the heads first. Not completely out, though, just enough so they're still wiggling a little.
Wow, that's terrible. How did you get it off them?
The usual way. You put another armadillo on the back of the head, and the first armadillo gets annoyed and walks off.
But for 3 weeks?
Well, that's how long it takes. They're slow animals.
So the armadillo crawls off your dad's face, and he passes away?
No, the armadillo's fine. Are you even paying attention? The dilla's fine. He walks off into the daycare center. But the one on the back of Dad's head now refuses to leave. So we got to put a new armadillo on his face again to get rid of the one stuck on the back of his head. This goes on for weeks until we get a signal from Dad that he's had enough. We said our goodbyes, and that was the end.
Wow. I'm sorry.
That's the tricky part of dilla eating. Can we talk about the issues, please?
Sure. I'm sorry, but what would you like to talk about?
The grid. Let's talk about the grid. I just told my Department of Energy to do a big old hanging study of the grid. The eclectic grid where all our energy comes from, grid.
Why do you keep repeating the word grid?
I just like the way it sounds. Sounds a lot like grits, don't it?
Why did you do the study?
Of the grid?
Yes.
Because coal is clean and solar sucks, that's why. I have the documents to prove it, or I read it somewhere, I don't know. Do you know what? Stupid humans shutting down coal plants. We need more clean coal electricity coming through the grid, not dirty solar.
How is solar energy dirty?
Have you ever seen it, son? One day I kept staring and staring at it because it was just pissing me off, Stupid son. And next thing I know, everything's covered in brown spots, and everything I see is dirty and dim-like.
It sounds like you permanently damaged your eyes, Rick. You're not supposed to look directly into the sun.
This is America. I can do whatever I want. I suppose you want regulations on how long people can look directly at the sun now, right? Typical. Where is everything? Hello? Ow, I bumped into something. Who's there? Where am I?